Hey everybody, welcome back to a new episode of Unrequested PD Podcast. I'm your host, Francisco Faticati, and today I have the pleasure to have with us Mr. Juan Salinas, sir. Welcome. Thank
Thanks
you
for
for
having me.
joining us.
Thanks for the invite.
We're going to be talking a lot of things, instructional coaching and other things. I mean, we've known each other for a long time, so there's so many things that we can share and that we can talk about in just the field of education. I think surviving the field of
Survive,
education,
yes.
that's one of the toughest things that people don't tell you when you go into education.
Yeah.
And that's why for me, like instructional coaching has been so important because nobody tells you the things to actually survive in the field.
Right.
Like it's just about let's say here in the state of Texas, this is a T-test rubric and then make it happen. But
Yeah.
nobody ever actually,
The how.
yeah, shows you how.
Mm-hmm.
Like these are the TEKs. And I remember being a first year teacher and never really actually understanding what the TEKs were or what the
Yeah.
TEKs,
Yeah.
text,
Teaks, I think.
TEKs,
Teaks, yeah.
what it stood for. I mean, it's good to know that education is transforming into instructional coaching or teacher leaders, whatever they want to call it, but
Mm-hmm.
it essentially is the same thing. So, talk to me a little bit about you. Who is Juan Salinas? How are we in? How did you end up doing instructional coaching?
Okay, let's see. I grew up in Mission, a little neighborhood called La Cuchilla. So it was one of those things where I never thought I was going to go to college. I was going to learn a skill, maybe, learn a
Yeah,
trait. But my dad would always tell me, like, estudia para que no estés en el sol como yo.
so
So that was always like, okay, gotta study, gotta study. And growing up, you see my cousins and friends doing stuff that maybe it wasn't the right thing to do. It sounds cliche. They're like in jail or dead or
yeah,
whatever. So you see that, and maybe not that I was like smarter or anything. I was just scared.
yeah,
So I'm like, let me stick to this route to school.
yeah.
And that's what I did. I mean, it took me a while. And eventually I got my bachelor's and started working as an English teacher at the high school. I won't say names, won't say where.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just, that always in the back of my mind, my dad saying, like, no, estudia para que no estés en el sol.
Sí.
And that's one thing I definitely don't like, being out in the sun working. So
Yeah.
I like to say education saved me, because who knows where it'd be.
Sí. Yeah. And believe me, like not a lot of people know this, but I've actually tried going to the oil fields
Yeah.
or dude.
No,
No,
it's not for us, man. We're not
no,
cut out. Yeah, I hope my dad on the weekends sometimes, and
no.
I'll stick to the computer stuff, or I'll be in the troque de AC. Yeah, I'm definitely not cut out for that, for sure.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's
Yeah,
crazy. Mad respect to the people who are actually out there
for
making it
sure.
happen, and to people who make that their career and their
Hmm.
life because it's. I mean, we need it.
Yeah,
It's needed, and it's a skill that you got to learn. It's good money that they get,
yeah,
and but it's a tough job.
yes.
Not just
No.
the being outside, but I think the whole being away.
And then they don't even have 2 months off in the summer
Yeah,
or 2 weeks for Christmas.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't know if I could be one of those.
Yeah, I definitely like the summer that I get off
Yeah,
and the breaks.
the 2 weeks now are pretty good.
See,
Yeah,
2 weeks.
it's not the 2 months anymore, but yeah,
I know it used to be 2 3 months,
yeah,
man. I don't
yeah. You
know.
miss it sometimes. Yeah, yeah.
You do, because it's you don't even like for us in my family when we're um on break
Hmm.
we flip our sleeping schedule. I'm a night owl.
Yeah.
So I love staying
Hmm.
awake as late as I can, then waking up as late as I
Oh
can.
yeah.
But I can't do it anymore because
Right.
I know I only have either the 1 week to make it
Couple
happen,
weeks, that's it.
see,
Yeah.
and then I gotta go back
Back to
to
your routine. Yeah.
see but I don't know. It's we can, but we enjoy it. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
2 weeks off. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Is the my question to you? How do we? What is the importance that you see in instructional coaching?
I think it took me a while to figure it out, to be honest with you, because when I first started, I wasn't really sure of the role.
Okay.
Like, I mean, I knew what I had to do, like as far as my job, but I never really saw like the impact.
Okay.
Like, I know we had a lot of like trainings and stuff, and like build relationships and this and that, and but I think the biggest thing for me is seeing teachers grow. Like,
Hmm.
like you say, when we started, we come from like alternative backgrounds,
Yeah.
which most of our teachers do too.
Hmm.
You get there, here's your roster, there's your class. Orale,
See.
teach.
Hmm.
Like, nobody shows you how to teach. We
Yeah.
didn't go through the blocks. And like right now, my teachers, I think the most veteran one has 3 years under their belt.
Yeah.
So seeing them grow is what the way I see that it's important. Like, I don't know, I guess that's That's where I see like the difference that
Mm-hmm.
I make, the little difference that
See.
I make, because everybody's different. Everybody has a different style. So seeing them grow into the teacher that they want to be, it's pretty cool. Even though it's been a short journey, this is my second year, but you can
See.
already see, I mean, the growth in these teachers, man. I've been blessed with great teachers,
Yeah. Yeah.
and seeing them just get the confidence,
See.
and that's one thing that, because we build relationships with them. That I think it's good that they could trust me, come in, we talk. I'm able to give them feedback, honest feedback, without hurting their feelings or
Mm-hmm.
them taking it the wrong way, and
Yeah.
it's good. It's rewarding in that
And so how
aspect.
do you build that trust? Because this has got to be hard. Like it's
Yeah.
especially if you come in from somewhere completely
Oh yeah,
different, you don't know the people,
yeah,
and then suddenly somebody says that guy's gonna help you.
yeah. He's gonna tell you what to do, and it was tough. Let me tell you, especially working like in a small district. But I think just being genuine with them. That's same thing that I did as a teacher. Because when I was teaching, I had the kids that, no, I can't handle them. Send them to Salinas. I had those kids that nobody wanted, nobody could handle. They were, the kids the teachers already said this guy's not going to do anything in life.
Hmm.
They're lost causes, and
Yep.
to me, they were my favorite. I connected with them because
Yeah.
I was them.
Yeah.
So I think it's the same. Be genuine with them. I remember one of the teachers, I won't say her name, she would always ask me, how do you connect with these kids, Salinas? How come they work for you? They won't work for me.
Yeah.
Because I talk to them like a human being. Like as soon as they walk into your class, you're yelling at them, tuck in your shirt, why are you chewing gum?
Mm-hmm.
Pick your battles, as soon as they come in, man. How's it going? How are the Cowboys doing?
See.
How's, I don't know, like a soccer team? I don't know anything about soccer, even though I coached. But you build that rapport with the students because you genuinely care. Go to their games, go to their band recitals, stuff like that. And it's the same thing with teachers now. Like I used what I did in the classroom with the teachers.
Hmm.
I every morning I do my rounds. I go walk with them. How are you doing? How's your kid? How's, I don't know, whatever issue you're
See.
having in your life, and you gain that trust to where something happens, they come and talk to you,
Hmm.
and they know this guy's not just here for work. He actually cares.
Yeah.
And that's just it. Just being genuine, being yourself, really,
See.
and listening more than anything. Just listening.
See. So what do you do when somebody doesn't want to be part of that structure? That doesn't, just because you're gonna get people
Yeah.
who don't want to buy into the system, who don't want to change, or who don't want to. I guess I can put it this way: who already in their brain they feel that they already at their peak
Right.
when it comes to instructionally. But I feel that also in just like in anything else, because there's coaches for everything in
Hmm.
now in life. Like you can get a life coach,
Right.
like
Yeah.
you can get a financial coach,
Everything.
like
Yeah.
you can get athletic coaches.
Hmm.
I feel that in instruction you can. There's never that point where you can say I peaked. Like there's always
Yeah.
room
There's
to
always
grow.
something to do. Yeah.
Like there's things changing. There's new research coming out. But there's still some people who say no, thank you.
Yeah.
Like how do you work with that?
What's worked for me is just give me a chance. Let's try it. Like I know you're never tried it this way. It's you say it might not work, but just for my sake, prove me wrong. You know,
Yeah.
let's try this. Like one thing we started was putting kids in groups. I had
Uh-huh.
teachers that, oh no, that's not gonna work. I'll
Yeah.
never be able to do that. What do you mean? I've been doing that for 8 years, 10 years.
I don't know any other
Right.
method.
Like
Yeah.
exactly. And I would tell them, just try it. Prove me wrong. If you don't like it, we'll figure something out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been my, like, again, working with them.
See.
Instead of, no, you got to put them in groups.
See.
No, no, no. Let's try it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
entertain me for a day or a week. Let's try it. See what
See.
happens. And we'll meet back. We'll talk about it. See what you think. And till now, every little thing we've introduced that they try genuinely with
Mm-hmm.
fidelity or
See.
integrity, now that they see, okay, maybe he kind of knows what he's saying.
See.
Let's try it.
Yeah.
So that's what's worked so far. Just
See.
prove me wrong. Let's try it. We'll meet in
Just
the middle.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. And I think it's important because I talk about this all the time. Like if somebody went to Francisco Faticati's classroom and said, "This is
Yeah, yeah.
this is what you're teaching,
Hmm.
and this is how you're teaching it," like I think
Yeah.
like
It wouldn't have gone down well. Yeah,
yeah, it
yeah,
wouldn't have been like that fun of a conversation.
yeah.
But also I also have to understand that when you know better, you do better.
Right.
And that was a phase in my life that I'm glad is gone,
Hmm.
right? Because I'm very open to ideas and to things now. I think I work with under great leadership that helps me
Hmm.
build and open up that mentality. But but I don't know. Like I feel that I would have been
Yeah.
one of those that would have said, um,
Who does he
why
think he is?
yeah,
You
why
know,
fix was not
right?
broken.
It's
Yeah,
been working.
yeah, it's been working. um, but I know that that would have been, yeah, a tough one.
Yeah.
But um, going back to the same thing, a lot of the times, because our secondary teachers, I think for the most part, I have no research on this, so don't quote me on any of this. But most of of the secondary people that I know are more than anything alternatively certified.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. So if I studied psychology, like I didn't, I didn't
Hmm.
study teaching, I didn't study English, and I studied psychology.
Yeah.
But we made it work. But if I had, I think, somebody to say this is the way, I think that would have been a lot
For
easier.
sure. It would have saved us the first couple of years would have been a lot easier.
Yeah.
Because, like I say, people just go, okay, this is your class, your roster. This is your curriculum if you have any. If not, find
Mm-hmm.
resources for these teaks and
See.
te agarras. That's it.
Yeah, because I remember coming in and the curriculum was literally something like this. First 6 weeks, poetry.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Second 6 weeks, fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Third 6 weeks,
Nonfiction.
nonfiction.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't, it wouldn't tell you what to
No.
teach or how to
You have to
teach it,
find.
or
Yeah.
no, so you had to pull all these things together.
Mm-hmm.
I think now, like, a lot of the times districts are providing most of the stuff, and then giving room to people to modify
Mm-hmm.
their their curriculum. Um, so how do you work with people who, let's say, they know they know their stuff, they know what they're doing, they're veteran teachers, they've worked in writing, they've done curriculum, and a new curriculum rolls out, district initiatives rolled out. Um, how do you help them implement the curriculum, implement the initiatives that the district has? Because we all follow, our the vision.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and also at the same time allowing them to tweak so that they can feel themselves.
One thing that I had started doing was like model a lesson, model the like we have the district initiatives so they
Hmm.
could see it. But then one thing we got permission to do was to take them on learning walks.
Yeah.
So I don't want you to do it the way I do it. Like do your own style, but let's
Hmm.
go see different teachers how they do it,
See.
so they could see that okay, I don't have to necessarily do it like him or like her, but and it allows them to grow into their own style. And that's one thing that for me is very important. I want each teacher to have their own style. I don't want 10 teachers like the same.
See.
Like, I mean, the curriculum the same. We're teaching the same thing. They're all aligned. But how are you doing it? How's Mr. Fatigate teaching it? And if you walk into Mr. Salinas, how is he teaching it?
Yeah.
The same thing, but different. So
Hmm.
we've had success with Learning Walk.
See.
And we've gone to other campuses also to see it done. So that's one thing that has helped the teacher see, like, oh my God, I like the way this teacher did that over there at the sixth grade campus or whatever.
Hmm.
So they incorporate that into theirs. Or maybe they see something that they were doing and I kind of don't like what they did. Let me tweak it because that's what I'm doing too.
See.
But you're seeing it from an outsider in.
Hmm.
And we have tools like a swivel that we record
Uh-huh.
so they could see how they're doing because nobody knows how they
This
look.
section sponsored by Reflectivity.
Soon. So they get to see because even like right now, once we look at this video later, you're like, oh man, I can't believe I said that or wore that or looked
Yeah.
like this.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Like nobody really sees how you're doing things until you watch it, like an outside perspective.
See.
So having those tools and resources has definitely helped.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's important now that you mentioned the video in,
Mm-hmm.
because that wasn't something that existed in my world.
No, no, definitely not.
I
Yeah.
just thought I would run a badass
Yeah.
class.
And now that I look at my teachers, like, man, I wasn't that good. I wish I could go back and do it again.
Like if I knew back then
Yeah,
what I know now,
exactly.
that would have been a great classroom.
Yeah.
But we did what we could with what we had. That's
Sometimes you have to bust out a guitar and speak to your class, whatever it takes.
Hey, you said make connections, so
That's right.
we were
Whatever it
we were
takes.
trying to Drake.
Andale, there you go. Poetry, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it's and I really like that the way that districts are working now, that are really providing things for teachers, and giving them a lot of resources, because
Yeah.
that's how we need it. And of course, we're not gonna get into the whole politics
Right.
of everything that teachers actually need and want and stuff,
Hmm.
but it's good to know that there's a positive switch, um, going curricularly.
Definitely.
There's a support. The materials are good. The stuff is good.
Hmm.
I think it's about building capacity in our people and
Yes.
helping them grow. And I think instructional coaches are like a vital part of that because
Hmm.
it's about building people up in their profession.
Yeah,
Like
that's why we're there.
yeah,
And
like what other way to get better?
hmm and especially coming from like an instructor coach, because we're not admins, we're not teachers, we're like in the gray area. So I think that's what makes us like safe, trustworthy, because
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go in there for like a t-test observation. Whatever we talk about, it doesn't matter. Like after those few seconds, basically everybody forgets about it. So you're able to come in here like, hey, you know what? I tried this with my class,
Mm-hmm.
didn't work. How can I do it differently? And we'll give tips, and it works out
See?
because we have that again, the trust. And one thing that you mentioned, like technology, and in this district, one thing we do have with this new curriculum, it's very technology based.
Mm.
So the kids have, their devices or whatever, but now the teachers got like modern screens that they could use.
Yeah.
And one thing we noticed last year, like, well, if the teachers had like an iPad, for example, they
Mm-hmm.
don't have to be stuck on their desk.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that, at least for me, I hated always being on my desk.
See?
The kids knew if I was sitting on my desk when I was teaching, I was either taking attendance or I was sick.
Yeah.
That was it. I was
Mm-hmm.
always at my podium or walking around. I was never sitting. So I kind of preached that to my teachers. Don't be
Yeah.
anchored. Don't be anchored to your desk. So we requested iPads. Teachers got iPads, so now they're able to walk around anywhere, switch the screen, have kids answer. I mean, it's amazing what technology can do
I
now. I
know.
wish we would have had that back in the day
Exactly.
instead of that 13-inch TV on the wall. And that's all we had.
Like if you go to my TikTok, you can find a video of that TV that we're talking
Yeah,
about. Yeah, it's those gray ones that used to put the news
yeah.
and Channel One News or
I think
Channel
my grandma
10.
even laughed at me for having that TV.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, we had chalkboards,
Yeah,
remember?
yeah.
Like,
I remember my first year, I think, was when they had switched to all whiteboards.
okay,
Yeah, so that was because I think I started like a year or so after you or
see,
two.
see, see,
So that was like a big thing.
see, and now I had chalkboards,
Yeah.
and it's funny because I don't feel old.
No, no, of course not.
But
I purposely painted these white hairs to feel older.
but when I think about things
Yeah,
and where we're at now in classrooms and where I started in
yeah,
classrooms, it's a huge
yeah.
difference.
And it's only been what 10, 12 years max.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's been a big, big change. I think maybe COVID probably sped that change up,
yeah.
but for the good, I think
See, you see,
definitely it makes teaching, I think, a lot. I wouldn't say easier,
mm-hmm.
but more manageable, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, because it's like you go from breaking. I remember again the papers. We had
Hmm.
to print papers. We had to
Oh
do all
man,
these things and make all these copies. I remember the bunch of copies that we used to have.
remember we had a code for the copier, and you could
Yeah,
only make so
you
many.
can only yeah.
Like man, we're English teachers. We're making tons of copies.
I go over my limit in week one. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
Like we had to hack and get other teachers' codes, and man, that was a mess.
And whoever was making those codes, they had to know that we
Yeah.
knew 1, 2, 3, 4, 5
Yep.
was the open one.
For sure.
They knew.
Yep.
So if you have a code, try it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It probably works.
It'll work, guaranteed.
Yep, yep. But again, such a change
Yeah.
from when we started to now.
Hmm.
Like I go into classrooms, I see a lot of the things, like a lot of the things that our teachers are using. Um, I see those boards that you're talking, the screens.
Hmm.
They have their objectives in it.
Yeah.
They have timers in
Everything.
it. Like there's
Music and
music at
yeah.
the same time. There was a teacher who had a voice meter. I don't know
Okay.
if you've seen it,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
a voice meter, so they could tell when the kids are getting too loud,
That's
or
that's
like
crazy. Yeah.
it's crazy, crazy. Like all these things. Like I don't know why, but I love timers. Well,
Hmm.
it's because I'm not really good at timing
Yeah.
myself. Like when I'm presenting, I can talk for hours.
Hmm.
Um, so I started learning to use timers. So I still use mine in my phone.
It works. There you go.
Yeah, but those in the screens
Yeah,
are pretty good.
they definitely help for
Mhm.
sure.
So, what is your role then in helping a teacher that didn't have that started teaching 30 years ago? Um, do we have teachers that started 30 years ago?
No, I think right now the most veteran I have is 4 years, maybe
Okay,
at the moment.
okay.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
mean, I think that also has helped because they are very open-minded.
See,
Had I had previous teachers like that we
mm-hmm,
worked with before set
mm-hmm,
in their ways, would have been a lot harder to change somebody's mind. But I
Mm-hmm.
think that's one thing that has helped. Most of my teachers are fairly new, so they're okay. Let me try this because I don't know any other way.
Sí.
I've never done it any other way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what has helped.
Sí. Mm-hmm. Because I could imagine that as an instructional coach, it may be hard to
Yeah.
say to support the technology integration. 'Cause that's where we're going. Like all state assessments are now online for the most
Yeah.
part. So how does your role help in the technology integration?
Well, first and foremost, I had to learn the technology myself because I wasn't used to it. Like to them, it was easier because that's what they've been able to do, and that's all they know. But not me. I'm still on the paper, like you say, making copies. So first, I had to get familiarized with our curriculum. That's all online. There's no more. There's really no more books if you think about it. So I think once I kind of sort of get the hang of it, then I branch out to them. And again, we're going back to the same thing. What does research show?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I kind of sort of like hang my hat on.
Sí.
Like, okay, let's try this because TA says this.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try this because so and so said if we do it this way, it'll work.
Sí.
And it's all just trial and error, mainly.
Sí. 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 Mm-hmm. And so what does a day in the life of an instructional coach look like?
Man, they're all different. Let me tell you, that's one thing I really like about this position. I'll go back to my first day as an instructional coach. I almost cried. I remember when we get there, you're excited, like, okay, I'll make a difference with these teachers and this and that. And mind you, I had 8, 9 years experience in the classroom. So
Mm-hmm.
I get there, we'll go in the morning, greet everybody. And then the bell rings, so all the doors close. I'm in the hallway by myself.
Yeah.
What the heck do I do now?
Mm-hmm.
So it was like a very tough learning curve for me because I didn't know what to do. But a day in the life, for the most part, is a lot of it's you're stuck in your office. And that's one thing that people pass by, like, oh, I tested sentado, no sé nada.
Yeah.
But man, you got to learn, well, for one, the curriculum, because you
Sí.
can't help them if you don't know it.
Exactly.
And then since we have 2 grade levels plus our interventions, so what is each one of them teaching? In
Mm-hmm.
case they ask me a question, I need to be able to, okay, this is what you do.
Sí.
Because if I don't know what they're doing that day, I'm useless to them.
Mm-hmm.
So half the time is learning the curriculum. What lessons are they doing? Reading the lessons ahead, checking the questions. Okay, now we do that. Okay, now this second year, what other resources do we have to kind of supplement
Mm-hmm.
whatever our curriculum's missing?
Mm-hmm.
So we do that. And then we have other duties like, luckily this year we don't have like lunch duty, for example,
Mm-hmm.
because we have PLC. So other part of my day is planning for PLC. So
Mm-hmm.
what is my PLC leads going to do? What are we going to do? Meet with my PLC leads.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have stuff like House Bill 4545, where we're inputting minutes, checking kids that are in intervention, making sure they
Yeah.
hit their minutes, logging them. I mean, you name it.
Yeah.
And that's not including the 27,000 meetings and trainings, and
That
Zooms.
happened.
And
Yeah.
I
On a
mean,
daily.
that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Like every day is different. And I go by my calendar. If it's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist.
Sí.
But that also is tentative. I mean, it changes
So
daily.
what's the best thing about the daily life of an instructor?
Best thing I would say is being able to do something for someone that you wish you had as a teacher.
Oof.
Because again, first year
Man,
teaching,
that's powerful.
but that's because I remember the first year I started there, the AP asked me like, "Oh, like, what's your why?" Man, I don't think my why has to do with what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And I even questioned like, should I even be here? But then the more I thought about it, like, well, yeah, because I'm what I wish I had when I was teaching.
Yeah.
Because it took me a while to get into like my groove, and you have your style, you say
Mm-hmm.
your lame jokes, and
Mm-hmm.
but you can't say those until you're comfortable with what you're doing.
Yeah.
So it took a while,
Mm-hmm.
and had I had somebody, think I would have maybe been better or
Mm-hmm.
been able to, I guess, flourish earlier.
Sí.
So it's cool knowing that, man, I have all these teachers that ask me questions
Mm-hmm.
because they trust me and because they think I know what I'm doing.
Sí.
You know what I mean?
Sí. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very empowering when they tell me, "Oh my God, I tried this that you told me. I love it." The
Mm-hmm.
kids reacted awesome to it. Like
Yeah.
that's amazing. Knowing that they're doing something great, and it's like an idea I had or something I did in the
Nice.
classroom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think to me that's the most rewarding thing.
See, that's amazing. That's amazing because again, I think back of my year one,
Yeah,
and I feel so bad for those kids.
yeah.
Like I'm don't get me wrong, like
Same.
I didn't do anything bad, but like
Could have been
I
a lot
wasn't
better.
I wasn't
Yeah.
ready at that point. Like
Same.
I
Yeah.
wasn't I didn't like we still went through the class, right? We
Yeah.
had our content objectives and our
Mm-hmm.
language objectives and our
Right.
agenda, and we did our things, but it wasn't at the level of year 6 or
Of
year
course. Oh,
7.
no, definitely.
Like so
Yeah.
those year 1 kids, I mean,
Man,
they got what they got, you
I
know?
still remember my year one kids. I remember first year teacher, alternative program. There was a time when I had 4 people, like 4 different people walking into
See?
my classroom to observe. And I still remember this one kid, I won't say his name, but if I ever see a man, I'm gonna buy him like a water burger or something. And I say that because he used to work there. As soon as somebody would come in, oh, and sir, and here you mentioned this and that, like he would just go off, man.
Ahora
And
sí.
as soon as they would leave, I got you, sir. Like because he would see me being nervous.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, let me hook him up.
Sí,
Let me
sí.
pretend like I know what he's doing or what I'm doing, or I don't know. But he was like a lifesaver for sure.
Yeah.
And I was blessed that they kept going in that period where he was in. So,
Yeah, yeah,
so it's to me that's what I enjoy more than anything is helping those teachers grow at a faster rate.
yeah.
Like I guess kind of lessening the learning curve. You know,
Sí, sí.
that's what's very rewarding, at least for me.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Because again, you put it beautifully earlier. Um, we are as instructional coaches what we didn't have as a teacher,
Right.
and that's powerful. And like,
Yeah.
I'm so happy that a lot of the teachers out there don't have to go through that anymore
Yeah.
because they have somebody backing them up, or even when there's no actual position for instructional coaching, but just knowing that principals and assistant principals try to be or are moving towards being
Mm-hmm.
more instructionally
Yeah.
focused rather than
Like just discipline and stuff.
managerial.
Right. Right.
Because that's one of the things that I always said, that one of the reasons that I don't want to go into principalship is because I've always seen it as managers.
Right.
Just make sure
Yeah.
that the kids get here and they leave safely.
That's it.
Make sure that there's food by the
Same.
time there's food, and that all other operational things are
Yeah.
happening.
That the buses are showing up.
Mhm.
That
Yeah,
nobody. Yeah. I agree.
yeah. But as far as and it, I may be wrong. Like there may be a lot of principles out there that do have a direct impact in
Mhm.
instruction. I just hadn't seen it.
Right.
Like it wasn't part of my world. Like I think we depended a lot on our co-teachers and
Mhm.
on our
Our
department.
neighbors, our
Mhm.
department heads. Yeah, for sure.
That was whom we learned from.
Yeah.
Um, I remember planning with groups of teachers and meeting and saying, "Hey, how are you going to teach this? I'm going to do this that I had never ever
Right.
in my life thought about doing stuff like
Like,
that."
whoa,
So
what's TPCast? Let me Google that. Yeah.
that sounds great.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And again, TPCast, it's a great example. Like, how am I gonna know TPCast if I've never done this?
Exactly.
And it's not like the internet was a thing,
Right.
but it's not the thing. Like
Not like now. Yeah.
uh-huh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't even think that teachers pay teachers existed back
Nah, when we
then.
started, I don't think
This section sponsored by teachers pay teachers.
you're gonna have to get them to sponsor out.
Because like there's so much stuff out
Yeah.
there now that people can get, man. Like
Mhm.
so much things, so
Yeah.
many things. I think again, moving in the right direction, going in the in and I think, well, going in the right direction for people and for kids,
Mhm.
because I'm going to go back to something that you mentioned earlier. There's a lot of there's that feeling sometimes that there's some kids out there that are not wanted by teachers,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, those are the kids that may need the most support,
Of course. Definitely.
and that they need the most help, that they need the most the most love, the
Yeah.
most acceptance, and they also need the most prepared teachers.
Mhm.
And I think part of the reasons why that happens, like that undesirable thing happens, is it's maybe because a lot of our teachers may not be prepared
Yeah.
to handle
They don't know.
situations, and it's not their fault either.
Right.
Like it's not like they should know.
Mhm.
It's like it's not like they're born knowing how to
Right,
handle
right.
or how to de-escalate situations, how to talk to a kid that's being rude to me.
Mhm.
But because that happens a lot.
A lot, especially in high school. I mean,
Yes.
they're adults, man. Like,
I know,
yeah.
and they roast you,
They
and
sure do.
just roast
Yeah.
them back.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that's not correct PBIS, but
It worked at that time.
But like
Yeah,
that's what I mean. Like a lot of times we're not prepared to
no,
handle those situations, and when we're not prepared, we may be failing kids.
yeah. And that's what I enjoyed when I was teaching, having, like I say, those kids that nobody else wanted, because I could connect with them, because I was from the hood just like them, from the barrios. The other teacher that's never experienced the lifestyle we had growing up, she's not gonna understand why your student is tired or falling asleep first period.
Hmm.
Ask them. You're gonna find out. Oh, so I was working with my dad till 2 in the morning,
Yeah.
or I was up all night because my girlfriend and I have a kid. Or, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I mean, in high school you have that,
Hmm.
so you kind of, like I say, you build rapport with the kids and you find out why either they're misbehaving, why they're late, why they're sleeping.
Hmm.
I remember I had a student every day who would fall asleep, and we had to have like a deal, like, I'll let you sleep for like 10 minutes, man, but then you got to do my work, or do
See.
my work, take a 10-minute nap. But my old principal was watching. I'm sorry, but he was working till 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
I think they would clean offices or something like that, so they have
See.
to clean them overnight.
Yeah.
And
No
like he
shit.
would say, I have to work. I have a kid. Like,
See.
the last thing I care about is your assignment you're giving me.
Hmm.
But so I would keep telling him, like, just stay, man. Like, don't stop coming. Just stay. Like, just graduate, get that piece of paper, you get a little bit better job, but you keep going.
Hmm.
And he did.
See.
So it was good in that aspect, because that's something that other teachers, if they've never lived that, they can't relate.
Hmm.
I mean, unfortunately, I think our rough upbringing connected with those kind of students.
Yeah.
So that's why I enjoyed doing that. And I would preach. We go back to like believing in the kids.
Yeah.
I'll tell them, like, education is important, but not necessarily like college.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody has to build your house. Somebody has to
Hmm.
do your electrical, your plumbing,
Hmm.
and those people, if you get good at it, man, you can make a lot
Yeah.
more than
Hmm.
going to college and being a teacher or
See.
something.
Hmm.
And I've seen it now over the years. Some of my old kids have requested me on Facebook, and man, one of them has like a barbershop, for example,
Yeah.
doing great things, giving back to the community. He's doing amazing.
Hmm.
Another one's a professional photographer.
Yeah.
Like, even just seeing them out in the oil field working,
Hmm.
like, I mean, these guys they're doing good in
See,
life,
they're doing good.
and they're all
Hmm.
kids that the other teacher would send to me because they couldn't deal with them.
See.
Instead of failing them, hey, believe in them. Hey, échale ganas. That's what I would always tell them. Échale
Hmm.
ganas. Whatever it is you do something, you know?
See.
Like,
Hmm.
you don't have to go to college, is not the answer, but
Yeah.
learn something.
There was a talk. It reminded me of a talk that I used to have with my soccer girls
Hmm.
all the time at the end of the season. This doesn't matter what you do
Yeah,
it with pride. Make sure
that's
that
it.
you're the best at it. If you're
Yeah.
gonna end up selling tacos,
Be the best.
make sure those are the
The
best
best
tacos
tacos.
that
Yeah, of
anybody has ever tried.
course.
And because it's not about it's not just about going to college. Like
Yeah,
although we preach
of
education, we
course, of course.
preach moving forward, but it's not always just
No,
about going to
it's not
college.
always the answer for some
Mm-hmm.
of them. Yeah,
See, see, see. And I'm telling you, like my dad's a truck driver, and that's his career. I feel proud of what he
of
has done.
course.
Like it's not just like it's not like I'll hide it because he didn't go to college. No, he's a truck driver. He put me through school, my sister through school.
Yeah.
It's my brother through half school because he
Well,
chose to stop.
that was on him.
That was on him. He chose
Yeah.
to stop. But that's
Yeah.
like a lot of our kids are gonna have those jobs, and
Hmm.
we also have to prepare them for that.
For sure.
See? And so as an instructional coach, what is your impact in actual student life?
That's something that recently has been in my mind, because at first it was like, okay, how am I helping the teachers? But lately I had a talk with a math instructional coach,
Hmm.
because we go back to the whole AP thing. Because I don't know, we were talking about something, and she asked me if I had taken my AP certification test.
Hmm.
And I told her no, because I don't want to be an AP. And I know if I take it and I get certified, if a position comes up, I might just take it one day. And she started telling me that, well, why'd you get into education?
Hmm.
I'm like, honestly, because I wanted every kid to have a great education, like a quality education. Because my parents weren't the ones to go complain,
Hmm.
or, oh, I want him with this teacher, or maybe they didn't have time to go to the PTO meetings because they were
See?
always working. And luckily, I didn't fall through the cracks, but because they kept pushing me. But we have students that maybe they're okay, because if my mom doesn't care, or if she can't come, the teacher's not there. I don't even remember my high school counselors' names. Like,
Hmm.
they never talked to me about college or anything like that. That
See?
was all on me, because my parents kept pushing me to do it, even though they couldn't go to the meetings.
Yeah.
So going back to what the math coach told me, she's like, well, then you got into it for the right reason, because you want to improve the kids. He goes, yeah. She's like, well, as an AP, as a principal, you'll be able to do that at a bigger level. And she opened my mind, because I hadn't seen it that way. I
Yeah.
would see it like you say, yeah, it's more like a managerial role.
Yeah.
And actually, when I started my master's right before COVID started, I stopped halfway,
Hmm.
because I don't want to do that. I don't want to wake up every day going to school and dealing with, I don't know, dress code,
Hmm.
fights.
See.
parents getting mad at you for whatever you did
Mm-hmm.
or didn't do. And she kind of opened my eyes a little bit to that. Like, okay, like, wow, that's one thing that I've always preached. Like, I wish all kids had quality education,
Yeah.
and that's why I push for all my teachers to be like the same.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want them to say, "Oh, if I get this teacher, I'll get a better
See.
education than that
Mm-hmm.
one." And right now, I work specifically with the English teachers, and I like to say, I think whoever you get, you're in good hands,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's I guess my role is how do I impact the kids, or how do I want to impact the kids,
See.
making sure that they have the best HQIM, which I think we have a pretty good one now,
Mm-hmm.
the better prepared teachers,
Yeah.
and just basically somebody there that's advocating for them.
See.
So that I think that's my role towards the students now, because I know I
See.
work directly with the teachers, but as far as the students, but that's at the end of the day, we're doing what's best for the kids.
See. And we gotta know too that coaching is at the end of the day, and I think any position in education at the end of the day is how does it impact student
That's it.
outcomes?
Of course.
Like how does it impact the kids?
Yep.
Doesn't matter what your title is, doesn't matter what
Mm-hmm.
your role is. We're in education for the same purpose.
Yeah.
Like how do we get
Yeah.
how to ensure that the kids are getting the best quality
Yeah.
education that they can get, um, and then helping in the decision making process so that actually happens
So it happens.
and becomes true.
Yeah.
I think as an instructional coach, that's a big part of it.
For sure.
Like how
Definitely.
do you make those choices and
Yeah.
talk to the people and
Yeah.
make sure that those things are happening. One of the things that and I'm gonna get a little off topic here, um, because you're talking about kids getting education. Some parents may not be there
Of
for them.
course.
Um, that's my whole issue with homework, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's my
Who's gonna
whole
help them?
issue. Who's gonna
Yeah.
help them?
Yeah.
Like that's why I've always said that homework is just creates inequity.
Yeah.
It
And
just
you discourage those
gap
kids that.
opens the
Yeah.
gap. Because like when I give an assignment for homework and Francisco's parents
Yeah.
truck driver father, mom who used to work at a bakery,
Mm-hmm.
so she may not be there
Yeah.
most of the time. Who's gonna help him? Plus, both of them didn't speak the language that I was studying.
Exactly.
So,
Even if they wanted to,
even if
maybe
they
they
wanted to
couldn't.
help me, yeah,
Yeah.
they couldn't. They
Yeah.
couldn't exactly. Um, but then you have Johnny's parents
Yeah.
who both went to college, who both were educated,
Mm-hmm.
and who can support them, and even if they're struggling, they can
Yeah.
support them and help them. Then Johnny, even if he's a struggling reader, already
He
has a
has an
step of
advantage.
yeah,
Yeah.
has a step in front.
Mm-hmm.
He has an advantage. He's gonna walk into the classroom tomorrow knowing not just the confidence that he did his homework,
Mm-hmm.
but that he understood his
Yep.
homework, and that creates inequity.
Yeah.
Like that's because
Definitely. Especially nowadays with the type of work they're doing in the curriculum. Man, maybe Juan Salinas at home doesn't have Wi-Fi, he doesn't have a computer,
mm-hmm,
and he can't do the homework
yeah,
because he doesn't have it. He can't afford it.
yeah,
And I know back in the day that was our situation, but now
mm-hmm,
it's more important than it was before.
too,
And that's resources they don't have. Again, maybe if I'm a struggling reader, I'm screwed. But
mm-hmm,
my friend, maybe his parents sent him to a tutor or hired a tutor, or
too,
there's that,
mm-hmm,
and that's what we go back to. That at least on campus at school, I want them to
mm-hmm.
have a level playing field, basically.
Yeah, exactly. The time that we can control.
Yes, exactly.
The time that we can control, we gotta make sure that they get the best they can.
Yeah.
So, for all of our people, that's one thing that we're gonna ask you. I think, um, if you're one of those teachers that does everything to spark that interest in learning, man, props to you.
Yeah,
Like it's hard. It's a hard job. Teaching is hard. Like
it
teaching,
sure
and
is.
it gets harder every single day.
Yeah,
So I give props to all the people who make it fun and engaging and entertaining and make sure the kids actually like what they're learning. Because
yeah.
nobody ever wakes up and says, "I want to go read Shakespeare." Like,
Hmm. Especially with with my subject,
yeah,
nobody likes to read or write. Like,
yeah,
I mean, we're already at a disadvantage. We're not gonna send rockets into the air. We're not gonna drop
yeah,
eggs from the stadium.
yeah. Yeah. See,
It's
what
tough.
are
Yeah, we're at a disadvantage.
what are we doing today, sir?
Yeah.
The same
Yeah,
thing.
promise we're gonna read or we're gonna write. Just in a different form, but that's it.
Yeah. Mr. Salinas, quick question. If you were to give three pieces of advice to people thinking into going into instructional coaches, and I'll give you some time to think
Okay,
about
okay.
three things, the three pieces of advice that you would give to people thinking of going into instructional
Hmm.
coaching, what would that be?
The first one I would have to say is, well, you got to care. This is not a job for somebody that got into education because you wanted your summers off and that's it. You have to actually care about building teacher capacity for one, and also for the students. Like I mentioned, like leveling the playing field.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, your heart has to be in the right place. If not, because man, as far as any coach goes, athletic, we take all the blame, none of the glory.
Yeah.
So you have to care because you're gonna get punched in the gut day in, day out. It's not a pretty job all the time. So
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
so having the ganas, the will to want to help, you have to have that for sure. Two, you have to know your stuff.
Yeah.
You can't. It's like I preach to my teachers. You can't get in there and cold read, teach
Mm-hmm.
the story that you haven't read yet.
See.
You got to know your stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
how can I help you as a struggling teacher? I don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the second thing. You gotta
See,
know your stuff.
it's funny because I had a teacher in ninth grade who had us cold read a book, and
Say his name.
he knows who he is.
Oh yeah.
He knows who he is. He hadn't read the book,
Hmm.
and so he didn't realize that it wasn't a novel; it was short stories.
Okay.
So he said, "We're gonna read from page one." So when we opened the book, um, it wasn't the best title of the. So you could just see him, getting red, and because
Yeah.
of the things in the chapter or the short story was talking about. Um, it was about exploring yourself as a kid and learning about yourself.
Okay.
So it was something that may not have been the
Yeah.
best to read at the time.
Especially with immature ninth graders sitting in your
Exactly,
class. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, but yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Know what you're gonna know
Of
what you're doing.
course. That's
Yeah, sorry I interrupted
no,
you.
no. That's a good story. Say his name. Let's see. So that was two. The third one would be the third one. Let's see. Let's see. I think caring is one, right? But you also have to have your heart in the right place and be a people person more than anything.
Mhm.
Because if you're not approachable, you like I like to talk to people. Like anywhere I go, I'm a conversation. Just today, we're out about on the road. Some lady was pushing her car, so I got off and helped her push her car into the gas station. We started a conversation. Started telling
Nice.
me how her brother in the back seat was handicapped and this and that. Like I like to talk to people. I'm a people person, so
Yeah.
I think you have to be approachable. That's one of the tips I would give. I think the last one, be a
Nice.
people person. Don't be afraid to talk to people because, man, especially starting a new role in a new district,
See.
I could have easily been stuck in my cave, but you have to kind of break
Mm-hmm.
break
Yeah.
free and just talk to people,
And
and
yeah.
and that's how you build. We go back to building that trust by talking to people, and that's one thing I do every morning when I get there. I go and I walk the halls with my teachers.
See.
Hey, cómo está? How are you doing? How are your kids? How's this? How's that? Because again, you have to connect with them on a personal level before we even talk about work.
See.
And that's one thing I always tell them. Like even when we start meetings, like what are you guys doing? What's going on in your lives? Like, well, worry about working a little.
See.
First, let's talk about what's on your mind. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that'll be my third tip, I guess. Be open to conversation. Be a people
Nice.
person.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. And for what it's worth, if you ever decide to become a principal, I think you will be a phenomenal principal.
Thank you.
Like you
Thank you.
know the right things instructionally, you know the right things of making connection with people. I think there's some things that you're gonna
Of
learn
course.
that come
Yeah.
with a
Yeah.
new role. Um, but I think you would be good in going in that direction if you ever choose to.
Thank you. Thank you. Maybe
Este,
one day. Maybe one day.
see, do you have you ever thought about?
I did at first, to be honest, when I started, well, before I started my master's,
Mm-hmm.
just because as a teacher, that's the next thing, like in your mind. Like, okay, once I put in a certain amount of years, how else can I make an impact? Oh, I guess I'll go the AP route
See,
and then eventually a principal.
yeah,
So I started my master's and I was taking the courses, whatever. We would have to do like assignments where you have to find like the way they say like how the sausage is made.
see,
So you have to talk to the principal, find out about budgeting and all this
yeah,
other stuff and trainings. And so in my mind, to me, we said that's not really making an impact directly
mm-hmm.
to the kids. I'm like, I know it does, but
See,
in my mind, like I kind of didn't want to do that. So I stopped my master's
see,
halfway. And then getting this job has opened my eyes into okay, there's other stuff I can do to make that impact. That's not necessarily being an AP
see,
or a principal. So that's why I was able to like go back and finish my master's because
see.
by becoming an instructional coach, had I not taken that position, I think I would have never finished my master's. To be honest with you, and now, especially after having that conversation with the math coach, she kind of made me realize maybe that is. the right step.
Nice,
So we'll
nice.
see. I don't know.
Yeah, hey. But if you ever think about it again, I think you'll be good at it. I think that's something that fits you.
Putting you
Uh,
down as a reference.
write it down. Write it down. Is that guys? If you've made it this far, make sure you click the like button somewhere here. I don't know where it is. Just click it and subscribe so you can hear more about our stories. Mr. Salinas, thank you for joining me today, man. This was a lot of fun. I hope we can do this again.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Right, I'll see
Appreciate
you.
it.
Bye.